Good afternoon, everyone. Oh my God, how so embarrassing, y'all. Okay.
All right, here we are, live and in color. I'm David Lee with Walker Consultants. We are a national consulting firm specializing in transportation, mobility, parking. Started as a parking structure design firm, but rapidly, and that was 60 years ago, and rapidly expanded into consulting because when someone decides they want a parking garage, all of a sudden they find out that they really need to know where it needs to be, how big it needs to be, do they need to build it at all? And these are the kinds of questions that my colleagues and I address. How to make it easier to get access, to get mobility, to get to, from, and around the campus. My whole background is in higher education, parking and transportation administration. I worked at Cornell University in upstate New York for 23 years, shifted over to be the director of parking and transportation at the University of Colorado Boulder. I still live in Colorado. Did that for 2 years and joined Walker almost 11 years ago and have been doing higher ed projects since then. Worked with about 90 colleges and universities in that time. We're really excited to be here and to talk about transportation, mobility, parking at Texas State. I'm joined by colleagues on my left and on my right. Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Paris. I'm a planner for Walker. I'm in the New York office, and I work also with David on all the higher ed projects. And I've been with Walker for 6 years.
Hi, I'm Yvonne Feedy. I'm with Walker in the Houston office. I've been with the company for a little over a year now, and prior to that, I spent 4 years in the Parking and Transportation Services Department at the University of Houston.
So we're on campus. We've been looking around. We've done inventory and occupancy counts on campus over the past couple of days. Gotten to see how things work out there. We've asked parking for a lot of information, a lot of data, and that gives us a lot of numbers. But it's really your stories that flesh out the picture for us, right? Give us a three-dimensional picture of campus. We want to see the campus through your eyes and your experiences, and that's what this is about. This today is intended to be a listening session. I know we can't directly hear you, but Kat will convey your questions and comments to us, and it's really important. We want to know what is going well, what's going right, so that we can encourage the university to continue doing those things, and we can identify some of the best practices here. But we're also interested in how things could be different and better. So with that, those are really the two questions we have for you. What's going well and what could be going better? And with that, I'd really like to turn it over to you.
Kat, do we have any comments? I can't read that far away.
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm sure they're just in the process of typing.
That's great.
for a couple of years, my daughter was a Twitch streamer, and I just would watch the speed with which those comments would come through. She was, astonished me with her ability to do that.
We've also been able to see a lot of comments through the survey that was posted online earlier this week. So we've been getting some feedback through those comments as well in that data. So that will be open until Friday if you want to share that link with anybody else.
Now, many of you may have already seen it. If so, thank you for filling it out and putting in your comments. We read a lot of those comments last night, and we'll continue to look at them as they come in. I think Kat's dropping that link into the chat right now. Thank you, Kat.
Of course.
So some of you may be here representing only yourselves. Some of you may be representatives of larger groups, either officially or unofficially. We welcome your feedback, either personally or as a representative of other constituencies. And as you ask, feel free to let us know who it is that you're speaking on behalf of, or just on behalf of yourself.
Should we tell them about Greg and Beth too?
Oh yeah, so we're only part of the Walker team that's on campus. We also have a couple of colleagues that are doing the transit and shuttle study that is a companion to this. We're fully meshed together because we're really looking at the whole transportation and mobility picture. Parking is a piece of it, an important piece, but it's not the only piece.
So we do have 2 comments. Tell us about how you will balance the needs of residential students versus commuters in San Marcos. What issues do you try to balance?
We try to balance, the needs of faculty, staff, resident students, commuting students. All have legitimate needs and needs to access the campus. As we work with campuses, we find this all the time. And you're right, the balance is the right word. It is a balancing act to try and do that. And that's why we want to hear what the experiences are from all of those different points of view.
The new app hasn't been beneficial since it's dependent on others using the app.
Yeah, that's Park Zen.
Park
Park
Zen.
Zen.
Yeah, you get good park karma if you use Park Zen. Right, it's like any other crowdsourced information. The more people that participate in it, the better it gets. So we would encourage any or all of you to participate in that, and to talk to the communities with whom you interact.
I'm curious to know what types of permits the people who are online with us have. Can they put that in the chat? Just tell us.
And as to how we balance it, it's different every place. And every campus is different in terms of setting and climate and geography and topography. So we tend to see similar challenges wherever we go, but we find that the solutions are very different from place to place. And that's why, again, getting this information that you share with us is so important as a companion to just the numerical data and the observations.
Right, and that numerical data is going to give us some good information about residents versus commuters, and of course faculty and staff as well. But the balance is shifting as more resident housing is opened up on campus. So we'll need to look at what that looks like now, and how is it being used, and how can it change as the shape and numbers between residents and commuters are changing too. So that is something we'll be looking at.
What are constants and components that you have noticed that contribute towards a functioning balance?
Having good alternatives to driving alone. I mean, it does no good to count on just pricing or just limiting the number of permits that are sold. People have to have an alternative, or none of that will be of benefit. So that's why we're looking at the transit and transportation and shuttle system at the same time. A lot of places we go, a default suggestion is why not just, ban all freshmen, from bringing cars or freshman residents. You have to have a robust transportation system in place first in order to make that work. You have to be able to provide, the access and mobility that people need. And we have to remember at the same time, not every first-year student, not every first-year student resident has a car or has access to a car or wants a car or wants to drive. So anything that you can do that helps some people decide that maybe they don't need a car or don't need it right near them also helps all of the people who don't have access to a car. So we're really trying to think broadly about access for everybody.
We currently have no explicit drop-off and pick-up specific areas on campus, which causes issues for buses, car traffic, and bus lanes. Are there any plans to add areas like this on campus?
So that is something that we're certainly looking at. It has come up in every conversation that we've had. And it is something that has accelerated dramatically over the past 5 or 6 years. The changes in the amount of demand at the curb are extraordinary. And that's DoorDash and Uber Eats and Postmates and Uber and Lyft and Amazon and FedEx and UPS. I mean, and buses and bikes and pedestrians are all competing for the same space. So it's a very worthy topic of bringing up, and we appreciate that. And
that
Yeah,
feeds
go ahead.
into the resident comment you were just making it easier for people that live here that don't have a car, being able to get picked up from your residence hall, being able to bring in your groceries, right? Those kinds of things. So that also helps in that sense as well with those pickup and drop-off zones. So thank you for bringing that up. And that's what we were talking about before. That's not something we would have seen in the data because it's absent from that. So hearing these types of comments is really helpful. So thank you. Should I read that?
were there any responses to Yvonne's question about what types of permits are represented in our virtual room here?
Not at this moment.
No.
Okay. I park in a small parking lot near the Charles Huffman Hall. I am mobility limited. There are 6 handicap spots, 3 of which are filled by 7:15, and the balance are filled by 8 a.m. Could there be more spots allocated?
Great information. Thank you. We will put that in next to the data that we've been collecting the past couple of days. That's a very important question. I think that there are requirements for minimum numbers of ADA spaces, but that's the minimum. And the system needs to be flexible and responsive to where those needs are on campus.
And David, if you don't mind, I just want to make sure the small parking lot that you're talking about, is that the one behind New Oasis? Right by the bus stop?
Are there comments you'd like to pass along to our colleagues who are doing transit the study?
Just circle back so y'all know, it is that small lot between the bus stop and the New Oasis, that little lot right there that David was talking about.
Oh, great. Thank you.
I can go over some of the top concerns we've heard already.
Oh, sure.
All right, so some of the biggest concerns that we've gotten from other open houses and also from the survey, we've heard that there's too many reserved spaces, which is causing frustration when people are circling and looking for spaces, and then there's empty spaces in front of them that they're not allowed to park in. Enforcement has come up in frequency, consistency, and staffing of enforcement.
Yes, another one just came in. We have garages with unassigned reserved spots. With a limited parking, having those open to general public would be helpful.
Great, yeah.
Unassigned reserve spots?
Unassigned reserved spots.
Is there a specific facility that you're talking about? Or facilities?
Are these the ones that say 1, 2, 3?
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna find out.
Pleasant Street Garage.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, okay. All right, some other things we've heard about is visitor parking, and how that interacts with the pay garages. Either who is parking there and who should be parking there, or how to get visitors on campus through the online systems. And then talking about the service vehicles, service vehicle reserve spaces, where those are located and who's using them and how they're being used. And pick up and drop off, what we've already talked about.
Many parking lots have reserved red parking spots that can be purchased for a higher price. Many of these spots go unused for 3 to 4 days per week because they are purchased by faculty who only visit campus for 5 to 10 hours total per week. Meanwhile, staff members who work in person 40 to 45 hours per week struggle to find parking, even though there are many who would happily pay the increased price for those red reserve spots. Could fill full-time in-person staff be given priority for red reserve spots?
Yeah, we're going to be looking at the whole parking allocation system. The parking folks have made very clear to us that, everything's on the table. And what I've said in other groups is that, really nothing is sacred, right? Anything could change, and the system that's in place now of color permits that are essentially hunting permits with these other specific reserved kinds of spaces in there may simply be a system that the campus has outgrown. It doesn't mean it was wrong, it doesn't mean it's been neglected, but as the campus continues to grow and the system is under stress, and it is under stress, we've seen that, we've been out there, certain practices, may well need to change. The way that parking is managed may need to be more granular on a more lot by lot or zone by zone basis instead of these broad privileges based on, the color of the permit. So right now, the system essentially tells you to go to your favorite lot first and circle it. Because, what if you find a space, right? It's like winning the lottery, best day ever. But you don't find a space there. And you go to your second favorite lot and your third favorite lot and you circle those, and now it's 20 minutes later and you're late and you're frustrated. So the goal is to modernize the parking allocation system such that it is less frustrating and more predictable. Now, more predictable doesn't mean you're going to be able to find a space or be assigned a space in your favorite area, but that you will be able to go to one area with a feeling of relative assurance that you're going to find a spot there. And it changes the experience. And if one car isn't searching 2, 3, or 4 lots, then there's less congestion, right? If a car is circling 3 different lots before getting to a space, it is essentially behaving like 3 or 4 different cars as far as traffic and congestion are concerned. So it can make things easier, more predictable, and safer, because the time the cars are most likely to be circling is during class change time, when they've also got the most pedestrians and the most cyclists out there. Buses are trying to get through to get people to their destinations on time. All of that is impacted, and it impacts the individual experience a lot. This is something that people encounter at least a couple of times a day, every day. That's why, I'm sure that's why you're here. Participating in this is, parking and transportation are, they're seldom the most serious issue, the biggest problem on a campus, but they're the ones that are a continual frustration and affect people every day. And that's what we want to try to help the university make better, and that's why they brought us here. Were there other key issues you went through the full list?
Yep, that was our list.
We need a bigger list.
Yes, give us more key issues.
We have talked about events, how some of the special events are limited, and some of the partnerships on and off campus are limited due to parking and due to the pay to park. So that was also a couple of things that we've also mentioned, mainly the in-person, and then we mentioned it this morning on our other online forum.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Again, this is a system that's already under stress, and if you add an event to it, particularly during the busiest hours of the day, it really adds to the challenges. And again, the goal here is to try and create something that is more predictable, so that you can accommodate those events without it causing everything to break down. Right now, one event, one place displaces some people. If they park illegally or even legally in another area, they're displacing somebody else, and that's a cascade effect through campus. So, a modernized system should have less of those ripple effects across campus.
I think that really answers the question about constants and components, is that consistency in following the rules, right?
Yeah, and enforcement and compliance and accountability are an important part of that too. We never encourage a parking system to rely on parking fine revenue. It's not about revenue, it's about gaining compliance. Unfortunately, the only way to get people's attention with something like that tends to be monetary, but that's not the goal. The goal is for enforcement to be customer service for the people who are doing the right thing and following the rules.
Will there be any suggestions to limit the number of parking passes sold, whatever the new system may be? Currently, there seems to be an unlimited number sold, meaning that purchasing a pass does not guarantee parking because the passes are so oversold.
The first thing really is balance. Right now we looked at the whole system to see what capacity there is or is not in the system. And then if you're managing on a more lot by lot or zone by zone basis, then yes, you manage the allocation. You don't sell one for most types of spaces. For residential, that tends to be a best practice, because at some point all of the residential, resident-owned vehicles are parked at the same time. But for the most part, there are sick days and vacation days, and days when there's more classes or fewer classes, or days when classes are longer or shorter, labs are longer than other classroom activities. So some degree of oversell is appropriate. Otherwise, you end up walking past a lot of empty spaces after having parked much further away and being frustrated by seeing that. So, but it does need to be managed more closely. And again, the current system of management really is outmoded for a campus that is this busy and this large and continuing to grow and continuing to change and evolve.
Hard to be compliant when you have purchased an expensive pass and still can't get parking on any day. It's busting at the seams.
Agreed.
What are the ideal plans for staffing parking garages and gate checkpoints? Will each parking area get its own attendant or attendants to encourage consistent enforcement?
Well, right now you've got a license plate recognition based permit system. That generally should be enough. Right? If you have enough people out there, the speed and efficiency with which license plate recognition enforcement can be done should allow those vehicles to go through every facility multiple times a day. If people start getting caught every time they park illegally, they will cease to park illegally. Again, with the caveat, of exactly what you mentioned, that, if you have a permit and you can find absolutely no place to park, you're going to grab a spot wherever you can and, take the consequences of that action. So it really is a matter of balancing supply and demand, balancing the allocation of permits, and enforcing consistently and regularly in order to have people not willing to gamble that they're not going to get caught. The goal is not to write more tickets. The goal is to write fewer tickets. But that should not require gates at every facility, and it should not require personnel at every facility. And we will be recommending sort of the methods and means of using the tools that are available right now and using them to the best benefit. These are all reasonable questions and concerns. I hope that no one feels that these concerns are minimized, because these are important and they're sort of foundational to the work that we're doing.
Will there be a significant amount of staffing increase for parking enforcement?
Uncertain. I think we have yet to determine that. We're on day 3 right now. But it's certain. What is important is that the amount of enforcement is enough that it is consistent in every facility every day.
We moved all commuter parking east of the river last year to keep thousands of hunters from coming on central campus to seek out a few dozen available spaces. We are feeling the pain of having no commuter parking serving the western campus edge, meaning long bus rides or rides to get from the commuter lots by the stadium to the rec center, for example.
Yeah, we've heard a lot about that, so that's definitely going to be a consideration as we look at this.
And then kids are wanting to transfer due to no parking.
Yeah, it's like I said, we understand that this is a daily challenge, a daily stressor, and the reason that parking has asked us to come to campus is for precisely those reasons, and we take them seriously. So we're happy to take more questions, to hear more comments. If you feel more comfortable doing it through the survey mechanism, that will be open until Friday, or including Friday. So please, if you haven't filled that out, feel free to do so. Share it with your friends and colleagues. We're interested in hearing this input. Again, your experiences, your lived experiences with this are at least as important as the numerical data that we collect.
Enforcing tickets doesn't fix the issue. No one wants to park illegally and get tickets on purpose. 40,000 plus students on campus. We need the parking garages expanded upwards.
I could get technical with this. Vertical expansion of a garage is very, very expensive. I think we are cognizant that there is more demand than there is supply, but we want to make sure also that we are aware and keeping in mind that as an auxiliary on campus, as a self-supporting function, parking needs to generate all of the revenue to cover its expenses. That means that the primary source of revenue for parking is permits, and any additional expense that the department incurs gets translated into higher permit fees. And we want to be able to moderate that to the best of our ability. A parking structure costs anywhere from $35,000 to $40,000 or more per space to build. And that means that that space, if it were to support itself, and it wouldn't because it's part of a larger system, but a parking structure space costs anywhere from $2,500 to $3,500 per year per space to pay the debt service, to operate, and to maintain. Again, and one space is not going to generate that kind of revenue. So even though they could spread across structured spaces and surface spaces, which cost less to maintain and operate, the whole thing runs as a system. And any additional parking would cause permit prices to increase. That doesn't mean that there shouldn't be additional parking. There probably should be some, but it does mean that we need to make sure that whatever we're recommending is a balanced approach that takes into account the expenses that get passed on to the users of the system. And again, we're not going to focus on only parking being the solution. There needs to be tools for people in order to access campus by other means if parking is going to continue to be a limited resource, and it always will be. So transportation, transit, improving conditions for cycling and for walking, encouraging carpooling, rewarding, means of commuting that are not driving alone and parking campus, because that has to be part of the solution. Because again, the roadway infrastructure around campus can only sustain so many vehicles. So the amount of parking that could be added, particularly to the core of campus, has to be limited as well. So the word I've probably used a lot, maybe too many times during this conversation, is balance. So we're really trying to balance, the needs and the resources and supply and demand and traffic and congestion and safety, and factor it all in together. It does not mean we're dismissing, the ideas of additional parking. We're not. And we get the frustration, and it's not for nothing.
Do we know if the new parking app is working okay? That was a win.
The Parks Zen.
The Parks Zen.
I haven't tried it out yet, have you?
I have not tried it out.
I'll have to. Do you have any insight onto that on your side?
It's still very early.
Okay.
Because we just started the process in August, so it's a little early to tell how efficient it's gonna, be. But we've had complaints, and we've had a lot of people praising it, so we're kind of happy with it right now.
Do they hear?
Just in case y'all didn't hear, Lieutenant Fox stated that it's a little too early in the app development just to determine if it was exactly a win or not. It is dependent on the usage of people. We are in the process of still working with the app developer. I do have one comment that says that they have seen a lot of people complaining about the app.
Okay.
And the complaints being that it's not accurate. I guess we need to understand what the complaints have been.
So like one of my complaints is when I go on the app right now, it tells me that Sept garage is completely full. But I know for a fact that like the top 2 levels of Sept are open.
Yeah,
So, and I don't know if that's just because not enough people have, okay, now they've changed it to orange to reflect.
Yeah.
But earlier when I checked it, because I check it periodically, just to
Yeah.
kind of see if it's accurate or not, it was showing red, now it's showing orange, but 2 hours ago, it probably should have showed orange.
Right.
At least, or green, because there's plenty of spaces available
Yeah.
on the top 2 levels.
So going back to that, Cindy, who was the original commenter, said yes, right, not accurate. And then another comment, my student says the student parking has to have the location services on for it to be accurate. So it's up to the user to enable locations. Another, no, the app is not accurate. Also, what's the point of having favorites but not actually being able to go to favorites?
Oh. We'll
all right,
explore
that's
this
good
one.
feedback, thank
Yeah.
you. And thanks for clarifying, Cindy.
This may be beyond your scope, but are there any plans to extend the discounted parking passes to on-campus employees who are not Texas State University employees, such as custodians and food service workers? We pay those workers very little, $10 to $12.50 an hour, and we still force them to pay hundreds of dollars on day 1 of their job to park on campus.
We are not nearly there yet, but we will keep that in mind. So thank you for bringing it up.
It is in our scope.
Yes, it is in our scope.
Thank you for taking our questions and comments. It is much appreciated.
Oh, thank you. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to provide us, with these comments and questions, because they do make a really big difference to the work that we do. So to everyone who's participated, to everyone who's listening, to everyone who listens later, we really appreciate your engagement and your interest.
We can give it a couple more questions just for others to finish typing. And then if not, we can give them back a couple of minutes to their end of the day. I do want to remind everybody that we will have an in-person forum like this tomorrow in LBJ from 11 to 1 in the LBJ Student Center 314. And then we'll also have another online forum tomorrow afternoon, which will be in the same format. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or anything pops up into your head between now and then, you're more than welcome to stop by and see us. We will have pizza tomorrow, so come join us for some lunch.
I'll be there.
Just for the pizza.
Oh, there's pizza. All right, well, thank you again, everybody. We really do appreciate it, and it does make a difference. So thank you.
Yes, thanks. We have a lot to think about.